Good morning, North Beach kids. How's it going? Hey, it's Teacher Tony here, and I thought I'd share something kind of new and different. As you guys know, I am a world-class hunter. That means I go and hunt, really cool, magical, mythical, and fun, whimsical creatures like the Loch Ness monster, um, leprechauns, and you guys heard me tell the story about Bigfoot and even been known to capture a unicorn or two. But, anyways, I wanted to talk to you guys about legends, folklore, myths, and campfire stories. Now, a legend is a story that has been handed down from generation to generation. What that means is, say, your grandma, her grandma told her a story, and her grandma told her a story, and her grandma told you a story, and that's from generation to generation. Kind of like when Teacher Tony starts imagination stories with, I've got a story that started a long, 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 long time ago. That is how legends, folklore, myths, and campfire stories start. Now, campfire stories and stories, kind of imagination stories like Tony does, have been around forever. That cavemen used to tell stories around campfires, and then your teachers, they tell you stories. And a lot of times the stories and legends or myths, they're not really true. Some is make believe, some could be based on a little bit of truth, but for the most part, it's fun. It's fun stuff, and a lot of times there's books and movies and songs written about it. Like the picture on the bottom left. She's probably reading a story about Puff the Magic Dragon. And the cool thing about these legends, myths, and folklore, just kind of like Teacher Tony says, everyone's imagination can be a little bit different than the next person. So, with that said, I am going to share with you a fun story. It's a legend, and I think you guys are going to like it. It's about the legend of Bigfoot. Oh, yeah, guys. Now, you guys have heard Tony tell stories about Bigfoot before. So apparently, Bigfoot, who's also known as Sasquatch, is said to be a hairy, upright walking, ape like creature that lives in the wilderness and leaves gigantic footprints, thus giving him the name Bigfoot. Now, they kind of call him a creature, but that's the thing about legends and myths and things and folklore. You know, I don't know. I don't think he's a creature at all. As a matter of fact, I think he's just a big, friendly, kind, gentle giant that just wants to be left alone. So, I'm going to share with you the legend of Bigfoot, and I want you guys to be the judge if it's real or not, if he's a creature or if he's a kind, gentle giant. Now, the story starts a long time ago with the Native American people. Those are the people that were here long, 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 long time ago, before there were cars, before there were cable cars, airplanes, even concrete. And the sightings and stories of Bigfoot go back hundreds of years ago to the Native American people, who have passed down stories of this large hairy creature that stands about 8 to 10 feet tall. Whoa, 8 to 10 feet tall. That is big as if I took Finn and put him on Teacher Tony's shoulders. That would be 8 to 10 feet tall. That is something big. So they would sit by the campfire and they would tell each other stories, the kids' stories, about seeing this large creature in the wilderness, and tell stories, and then the next generation would tell their stories. Now, according to the Native American legend and folklore dating hundreds of years ago, again, I told you this before computers, roads, cars, before planes and houses and big buildings, there lived in the deep forest a large hairy men, or creatures, that were shy and kept away from the Native Americans, but were known to be kind and gentle. And whenever they saw people, they'd run away. Now, the Native American people and even the Alaskan people, they thought that this gentle giant was really, really cool. And they revered animals and things that they thought were super nice and super cool. And they would make totem poles. And they would tell stories about the certain animals that protected their tribes and were part of their community and their neighborhood. So as you can see, the guy on the bottom left, that is their depiction of Bigfoot, right? And look, he doesn't look scary at all. And above him is probably the falcon or the eagle, and the top left guy, that's what people think he looks like today. So yeah, when you first look at it, kind of a little bit scary, but that's the kind of cool thing about folklore, myths, and legends. What we don't know, we kind of think is a little bit scary. So these large creatures would not leave a trace of their presence, and almost if they did not want to be seen. The only mark that they left was a giant footprint. Again, giving the creature the name Bigfoot, or as the Native Americans would call it, Sasquatch. Now, people for hundreds of years have said they've seen Bigfoot all over the United States, everywhere. Some people claim they've seen them in different countries, but most of the sightings have been in the deep, deep forests of the Pacific Northwest. That's almost where we live. We're in California, towards the bottom of that circle. But if you go upwards, that's up towards Oregon. That's where Teacher Trevor goes to school. And even into Canada. That's the country right above us. But in that area, there's a lot of trees, a lot of forest, and a lot of places that maybe Bigfoot lives and hides. Now, in the Pacific Northwest, for years, loggers and settlers would tell stories of a large creature, bigger than any bear, standing and walking straight up in the woods. And every time it would come close, it would run away. And it never messed with anybody. It wasn't mean. It didn't attack anything. And so that's why they call it the gentle giant. And that's what, in Native American language, Sasquatch means gentle giant. Now, the stories go that Sasquatch was anywhere from 8 to 12 feet, or Bigfoot. Now, you've got big brown bears, grizzly bears. They're huge too. But, although they can stand on their feet, they can't walk like a human. So there goes Bigfoot on the left. The biggest brown bear, grizzly bear, is right next to him. And if he stands up, he's pretty tall. And then next to the brown bear is a human. And that is, like Teacher Tony's size. All right? And so people might have said they seen Bigfoot, but it could have been a brown bear. But usually brown bears or bears will run on all fours. So what the heck were they seeing, you guys? Well, like I said, if they did see something in those bushes, it didn't stick around long, but it did leave big footprints, like this one here. Yeah, so sometimes a logger or a settler or the American Indians, they would see something. They didn't know if it was a bear. They didn't know if it was a big hairy man. They had no idea what it was because it never stuck around. But it would leave these footprints. And usually, these footprints were huge. Almost 3 feet long. 3 feet. You know what that is? That is almost the size of a honey badger. Yeah. And if you were to put your foot in there, it would be the length of 5 cheetah footprints. That's pretty big, right? And I'm going to show you an example of how big these feet really are. So, like I said, a lot of times when they would see this large whatever it was in the bushes or in the forest, they thought it was maybe a bear. But if you look all the way to the right, it says grizzly bear. That's a grizzly bear. And right next to that is Alaska bear. Those are bear prints. Those are pretty big, right? And those are the biggest bears there are on Earth. Now, if you look all the way to the left, it says a 16-inch Ruby Creek footprint. That is a Bigfoot. Now, how the heck can that thing be mistaken for a bear? It looks more like the human, like Teacher Tony's foot right next to him. So again, that's what happens when people think they've seen something, and then they tell a story, and then they tell a story, and then they tell a story, and that's how legends begin. Now, it was around this time that cameras were invented. And people were able to take pictures of this legendary creature. Many of these pictures were pretty grainy and not of great quality. But I don't know. If I took a picture of that thing and I got it developed, I would say, look at that bear. No, bears don't walk on 2 feet like that, staying straight up. Maybe it's a gorilla. No, gorillas don't live in North America, and they definitely don't live in California. What the heck is that thing? As you can see, there's definitely something large walking upright through the forest. It could be a bear. But like I said, bears can stand tall on 2 legs, but they can't walk or run. And as more and more people started claiming they see these things, or even taking pictures of Bigfoot, the legend grew. So these are pictures, or supposedly pictures, of something big, something tall, something hairy. But as you can see, every time someone tries to take a picture, it's not very clear. And usually this big creature runs off. Now, people started putting signs up, because, they're interested, and even though Bigfoot was very friendly and kind, since it was big and people didn't really get to see it a lot, that's when they started kind of starting to be afraid of it. But really they shouldn't have been, because when they did see it in the deep forest, people would witness it eating berries or maybe shaking trees for fruit and nuts, or sometimes even fishing, grabbing fish from the stream. But every time it sensed human presence, it would take off. So that's how it became more and more. And then as more and more people started migrating to the west. Migrate means moving from one place to another. And in this case, settlers moved away from the East Coast, like New York and Florida, because it was too crowded there. And then Bigfoot sightings started to become less and less. Probably because if there was something out there, he wanted to be left alone. So he started going, there's just more, most of the sightings were in the Pacific Northwest, in California, Washington, and Oregon. Now, here's the other thing. Some people started being really, really, really silly about this, because it gained a lot of attention. So some people started dressing up in big furry suits and walking around the forest, and even, look at the one on the top right, putting big feet on their feet and making footprints, and really, really making people around the neighborhood think that maybe there really was a Bigfoot. And that's called a hoax. A hoax is kind of like a trick, when people play tricks on other people. And, imagine if you seen that thing walking through the forest. All right? I kind of would think it was a Bigfoot too. But like many legends and myths, the legend of Bigfoot began to gain popularity, and people all over the world told stories about seeing Bigfoot. They even put up signs. All the people made more and more people, they wanted to visit the areas, and Bigfoot was becoming more and more popular. Now, like I said, when people don't know any better, they think, they make it scary. Now, like I said, Bigfoot was never attacked people, was always friendly and very kind, and whenever he seen people, he ran away. But since we didn't get really good pictures of him, people made him out to be kind of a big scary monster. But luckily, more people thought, hey, this guy's really kind. He's really gentle. He's really sweet. And they started making cool things about him. You know, toys, lunch boxes, coffee cups, even Bigfoot slippers. I really need to get a pair of these slippers, you guys. So I want the popularity is that people weren't treating Bigfoot as a scary creature anymore, but a kind, misunderstood, gentle giant. And that's how I like to think of Bigfoot. I think he's cute. What do you guys think? Yeah, he might be tall. He might be hairy. He might even have big teeth. He definitely has big feet. But he's super kind, super gentle. And he loves the forest. He's always kind to the forest animals. I think he really is just misunderstood. What do you guys think? And I'm not sure if you guys seen any of the cool Disney movies, but there's a cool one when Tony was a kid called Harry and the Hendersons. That's him. That's Bigfoot. He doesn't look scary at all. Yeah, he's tall, but he actually was very, very kind, very friendly, and lived with the animals in peace, and actually loved people. And he protected people too. Kind of like that book we read about Bigfoot when he helped that little boy who got lost. So this is how I picture Bigfoot. In the forest, with all the forest animals. Deep, deep forest, and he gets along with everybody. He's not scary at all, you guys. I don't know. You guys be the judge. So Bigfoot was becoming more and more popular, more and more famous, and not as scary. And that's the cool thing about myths, legends, and folklore. Even though we don't know everything about Bigfoot, because no one's ever caught one. No one's ever talked to one. No one's ever sat down with Bigfoot and said, hey, hi Bigfoot, how are you doing? How's your day? Instead, he's become a legend. Now, I hope you like this story about legends, myths, folklore, and campfire stories. I like telling them. And it's like the imagination story. Everyone gets to use their own imagination. So this was my story about the legend of Bigfoot. And I will have some more for you guys in the next couple of days. So I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, North Beach kids, have a great day.